The galaxy was silent, but the silence was not peace. It was the quiet before a storm that every alien race had been waiting for, and the storm had one name: humanity. When the first human fleet entered alien space, the galaxy laughed. The alien leaders thought it was a mistake. They thought Earth had sent its only ships to show off. They thought the humans were foolish. The armadas of the galaxy were massive, stretching across systems, with fleets so large they blotted out the stars. Compared to them, the humans were nothing, just a small cluster of ships. But then the battle began. The alien fleets had been confident. They had shouted on open channels, mocking the humans, calling them weak and fragile. They had told their soldiers that this fight would be over in minutes. They had promised victory, but the moment the first human weapons fired, the laughter died. Human ships moved in ways no alien could predict. Their formations shifted like flowing rivers, bending, breaking apart, and coming back together with perfect timing. Their cannons fired with deadly accuracy. Every shot found a target. Every missile struck true. Alien shields flickered and died. Alien warships broke apart in fire. The galaxy had never seen war like this. In the command room of the alien flagship, Admiral Vorath stared at the screens in shock. His fleets were 10 times larger, but his ships were falling faster than he could give orders. He shouted at his officers, demanded explanations, but none came. Only screams, reports of ships destroyed, fighters torn apart, and entire squadrons gone in seconds. The humans were not supposed to be strong. They were supposed to be weak, but Vorath saw something in them that no one had noticed before: precision, unity, and a strange kind of ruthlessness. A single voice broke through the static on the battlefield. It was a human commander, his voice calm, his words steady. "You should have stayed away from Earth." Those words sent fear through every alien listening. In the bars of alien worlds, in the markets, in the crowded meeting halls, everyone was watching the battle through their networks. What they saw burned into their memory: a single human fleet, smaller than any of theirs, tearing through armadas that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. The alien fleets tried everything. They tried heavy assaults, they tried ambushes. They tried overwhelming firepower, but nothing worked. Human ships adapted too quickly. Their strategies changed every minute. It was like fighting an enemy that could see the future. And then came the most terrifying sight of all: a single human battleship, smaller than the alien dreadnoughts, but faster, stronger, and armed with weapons that glowed with strange light. It cut through enemy lines like a blade through paper. One shot destroyed entire cruisers. One sweep of its beams melted shields that were thought to be unbreakable. The aliens had no answer. The panic spread. Alien commanders began to retreat, but the humans did not let them go. They chased, they hunted, they broke fleets apart and scattered them like dust. Survivors fled in all directions, screaming warnings into the void. The galaxy trembled. On the human flagship, Captain Elias stood, tall, his eyes fixed on the burning remains of alien warships. His officers cheered, but his face was calm. He knew this was only the beginning. Earth had sent one fleet, but the galaxy did not know the truth. This was only a shadow of humanity's strength. Whispers spread faster than light. Alien messengers carried the story back to their worlds. The humans, they are demons. Their fleet is unstoppable. One fleet destroyed us all. The councils of alien empires gathered in emergency meetings, fear in their voices. Some shouted that humanity must be crushed before they grew stronger. Others trembled and said it was already too late. And in the shadows of Earth, in the secret shipyards hidden beneath oceans, carved into moons and buried inside asteroids, the real strength of humanity waited. The galaxy believed it had seen the worst, but Earth was only showing its first hand. The first fleet was a warning, a message carved into the stars, and the message was simple: humanity is not weak. The battle ended with silence, not victory songs, not cheers, but silence, because even the humans knew this was not the end. The alien survivors would return, larger fleets would come, wars greater than this one were waiting. But humanity was ready. As Captain Elias looked into the void, he whispered words only his crew could hear, words that would later echo across history. If one fleet makes them tremble, let them imagine what waits behind us. And far away, hidden in the darkness, 10 more fleets prepared to rise. The war council of the Kelrathi Empire was in chaos. Alien generals shouted over each other, their voices sharp and panicked. Screens glowed with reports from the battle humans had won. The data was clear. Fleets of hundreds had been destroyed, wiped out by a single human force. Yet some of the generals refused to believe it. They called the reports lies, tricks, exaggerations. But the survivors who stood before them were shaking, their voices weak as they repeated the truth. "Fow, humans," one scarred commander whispered, his scales trembling. "Their ships moved like shadows. Their weapons cut through us as if our shields were nothing. It was not war. It was slaughter." Around the chamber, silence followed. The alien leaders had never seen fear on the face of that commander. He had fought 100 battles, crushed rebellions, destroyed pirate fleets. Yet now he trembled like a hatchling. Another general banged his claws against the table. "Nonsense! No species could do this. The humans must have used forbidden technology, stolen from the ancients." His words tried to sound strong, but his eyes betrayed him. They flickered with doubt. Across the galaxy, other empires faced the same truth. Their people gathered in public squares, watching replays of the battle through projected feeds. What they saw burned into their hearts, alien cruisers falling like sparks, dreadnoughts shattered in a single strike, human ships moving like hunters. Among prey, children cried, elders prayed, and merchants whispered that a new terror had risen. For centuries, the galaxy had treated Earth as nothing more than a backwater world. Its people dismissed as latecomers to the stars. Humans were called reckless, emotional, fragile. Their bodies weaker than most, their lifespans shorter, their cultures chaotic. But after that battle, none of those insults mattered anymore. The truth was written in fire across the stars. Humanity was a predator none had expected. In the Vorith Dominion, a council of lords met inside their glass towers, their voices heavy with dread. "If one human fleet can do this," one lord muttered, "what if they have more?" His words echoed through the chamber, and no one dared to answer. Rumors spread faster than light. Smugglers and traders carried the story into every port. "One human fleet destroyed an armada," they whispered. "If they send another, no. One will survive." Fear became currency. Stories twisted into legends. In some places, humans were called demons. In others, they were called gods of war. But on Earth, the truth was hidden deep. Far below the seas of the Pacific, in shipyards carved into the ocean floor, massive machines forged the hulls of new warships. Human engineers worked day and night, sparks flying, metal bending, voices echoing through the tunnels. Every ship that rose from the depths carried weapons deadlier than the last. On the far side of the moon, hangars opened to reveal carriers larger than cities, their decks lined with fighters that shimmered under artificial suns. In the asteroid belt, hidden bases hummed with energy as stealth cruisers prepared for launch. Earth's strength was no accident. It was the result of decades of quiet planning. Captain Elias stood inside one of those hidden shipyards, his eyes tracing the massive hull of a dreadnought still under construction. Its cannons were larger than towers. Its armor was layered with alloys no alien had ever seen. Beside him walked Admiral Hayes, the architect of Earth's defense. "You showed them our shadow," Hayes said, his voice calm. "But shadows mean nothing until the real storm arrives." Elias nodded. He understood. The First Fleet was a test, a warning. Humanity had revealed only a fraction of its strength. And yet it had been enough to shake the galaxy. Back in alien space, the panic grew. The Kelrathi, the Vorith, the Mirren Combine, all ancient empires that had ruled for thousands of years, now found themselves afraid. They sent spies to learn. More, they bribed smugglers. They hacked human networks, but they found nothing. Every path ended in silence. Every secret was blocked. It was as if Earth had vanished behind a curtain, so the empires turned to desperation. In the dark halls of the Grand Alliance, a meeting was called. Hundreds of alien leaders filled the chamber, their eyes fixed on the central display. It showed the human fleet, cold and sharp like a predator. They argued, they screamed, some demanded war, others begged for peace. But all agreed on one thing: if humanity truly had more fleets, the galaxy itself might fall. One elder, his voice shaking, said the words that silenced the chamber. We treated them as weak because we saw their bodies, but we forgot to look at their minds, and now they have turned those minds into weapons. At the same time, Earth's own people watched in silence as the news spread. Families gathered around screens, workers stopped in factories, soldiers stood in their barracks, all watching the same footage, their single fleet tearing through alien armadas. Some felt pride, others felt fear, but most understood the truth. The galaxy would not forgive this. Greater wars were coming. In the United Earth Council chamber, leaders debated their next move. Some argued they should reveal the other fleets as a show of strength. Others insisted they must keep them hidden until the last moment. In the end, they chose silence. Earth would let the galaxy tremble, let the rumors grow, because fear was as strong as any weapon. Captain Elias returned to his crew aboard the flagship Horizon. His officers stood waiting, their eyes sharp, their bodies tired but unbroken. They had seen the enemy flee. They had tasted victory. But Elias reminded them of the truth. This was only the first battle, he said, his voice carrying through the halls. They will come again, stronger, with more ships, with more rage, and when they do, we will be ready, because Earth is never alone. Behind us, the storm waits. His words lit fire in their hearts. In the void between stars, alien scouts watched from afar. They saw human ships patrolling. They saw defenses tightening. They sent messages back to their masters, messages filled with fear, and in those alien capitals, fear turned to anger. Fleets began to gather, massive forces built to crush Earth once and for all, weapons charged, soldiers trained, and leaders. The stars around the ruined battlefield still burned with wreckage. Broken alien ships drifted like corpses, their twisted metal glowing faintly as plasma fires consumed them. Scavenger drones moved silently through the debris, collecting pieces of alien technology. But the humans did not linger. They knew eyes were watching. In the distant systems of the Kelrathi Empire, chaos had spread like wildfire. The news of defeat was no longer a whisper. It was a scream carried across the galaxy. Their once proud fleets were shattered, their banners of victory torn to ash. Their people gathered in streets demanding answers. Inside the great chamber of the Kelrathi High Council, leaders argued without pause, their voices filled with fury. "We underestimated them," one counselor shouted, slamming a clawed hand on the table. "These humans have weapons beyond our knowledge. Their tactics are unnatural, their unity unnatural. No species fights like this." Another spat back. "Then we must unite the empires. If we do not, Earth will rise above us all. Today they destroyed our fleet. Tomorrow they will march on our worlds." But not everyone agreed. Some feared open war. Some whispered that perhaps peace with Earth was wiser. But fear ruled the chamber, and fear twisted into rage. Meanwhile, across other empires, similar councils echoed with the same panic. The Mirren Combine spoke of humans as monsters. The Vorith Dominion called them invaders from the abyss. Even neutral trade guilds began to close their ports, afraid of drawing humanity's attention. And yet, Earth remained silent. In the hidden, Shipyards under the Pacific Ocean, vast machines continued their endless work. Dreadnoughts rose like giants from the shadows, their hulls glowing with energy. Engineers whispered of weapons that could split moons, stealth ships designed to vanish into darkness. Carriers built to unleash swarms of fighters like storms of fire. Admiral Hayes stood over a massive display, his hands clasped behind his back. The map of the galaxy shimmered before him. Red lights marked alien fleets, yellow marked neutral zones, and blue marked Earth's hidden strength. Beside him, Captain Elias studied the same map, his expression calm but heavy. "They are afraid," Hayes said softly. "Fear makes enemies dangerous. Desperation will drive them to madness." Elias nodded. "And yet, it also blinds them. They will rush into traps. They will make mistakes. We only need to be ready." But Elias knew something else. He had seen it in the eyes of survivors during the first battle. The galaxy was not only afraid, it was beginning to respect humans in a way that terrified them even more. In alien markets, traders now spoke of human weapons as legends, smugglers, offered fake human tech at high prices. Even soldiers of alien armies whispered human names before battles, as if invoking a curse. But the truth was far darker. Spies sent by alien empires had already tried to infiltrate Earth, but none returned. Cloaked ships sent to scan the planet vanished without a trace. Encrypted probes were intercepted and destroyed before they could even transmit. It was as if Earth's defenses stretched farther than anyone could imagine, and in one shadowy corner of the galaxy, a secret council of alien leaders gathered in defiance of their fear. Representatives from 5 empires met in silence, their faces grim, their words whispered. "The humans cannot be allowed to rise further," one hissed. "Already they have shaken our empires. Already their fleets cut through ours like blades through silk. If they unleash more fleets, none of us will survive." "Then we strike first," another said, her voice trembling but determined. "We will form a coalition greater than any before, and we will crush Earth before their storm is ready." It was decided. A grand coalition of empires would gather their forces and strike, but they did not know Earth already expected it. Back on the flagship horizon, Captain Elias stood before his crew, their faces lit by the glow of the stars. "They will come for us," he said firmly. "They believe Earth has only one fleet. They believe if they strike fast enough, they can end us. But they are wrong. We are not one fleet. We are many." His words rang through the ship like fire. "We are the storm they fear." The crew answered with silence. But their silence was heavy, filled with determination, and then the first signs of the coalition appeared. Alien fleets began to move, massive armadas leaving their homeworlds, dreadnoughts and carriers gathering at secret points. Spies carried the information back to Earth, every movement tracked, every plan uncovered. Admiral Hayes watched the data flow in, his voice steady. "They are preparing for war, and when they come, we will show them what waits in the dark." But something else stirred beneath Earth's calm silence, something greater than fleets or weapons. It was the spirit of humanity. Ordinary people across Earth began to change. Families trained. Children studied engineering and tactics. Factories shifted from civilian work to military support. Entire nations united as one. For the first time in history, Earth was not divided, not fighting itself. The threat from the stars had forced humanity to rise together. Meanwhile, deep in alien space, cracks began to form in the coalition. Some species questioned if they should risk everything. Others feared that joining the war would doom them faster. But their leaders silenced them with promises of victory. Yet whispers still spread, whispers of what humans had said during the battle. "You should have stayed away from Earth." Those words haunted every alien soldier. Those words echoed through every fleet preparing for war, and in the dead of night, Inside the command chamber of Horizon, Elias looked once more into the dark, his voice low. "Let them come. Let them gather their strength. For when they strike, the galaxy will see the truth. The first fleet was only the beginning." He turned to his officers, their eyes fixed on him. "When they fall, and they will fall, the galaxy will finally understand," he said. "Humanity was never prey. We were always the hunters." Far across the stars, as alien fleets gathered like storm clouds, the hidden shipyards of Earth stirred. 10 more fleets, silent and waiting. The coalition armada assembled in the void between stars. From every empire came ships of war, dreadnoughts as large as cities, carriers that released waves of fighters, cruisers lined with cannons that could turn planets into dust. In total, their fleets numbered in the tens of thousands. Never before in galactic history had such an alliance been formed. Enemies who once fought each other now stood side by side, united by fear of one world. Earth. On the command bridge of the Kelrathi flagship Bloodfang, Supreme Admiral Vorath stared at the gathered fleets, his eyes burning with rage, his claws tapped against the arm of his chair. "One human fleet humiliated us," he growled, "but we will erase that shame. Today, humanity learns its place. Today, Earth burns." Across the chamber, alien leaders sent their approval. But not all were convinced. Hidden behind their eyes was doubt. They had seen the recordings, the precision of human ships, the impossible speed of their weapons, the ruthless unity of their fleets. And though they gathered their strength, whispers of fear passed among them like a shadow. Meanwhile, on Earth, silence ruled. The people knew war was coming, but instead of fear, determination filled their hearts. Factories ran without rest. Shipyards thundered with fire and sparks. Engineers worked until their hands bled. Soldiers trained in endless drills. Entire cities turned their lights down at night to conserve power for the fleets. Humanity did not tremble. It prepared in the underground chamber of the United Earth Council. Leaders gathered around a massive display. Admiral Hayes stood at the center, his face carved with steel. "The coalition moves," he said, his voice calm. "Their fleets are gathering near the outer colonies. They will strike within weeks." One counselor leaned forward, worry in her eyes. "Do we reveal the other fleets now?" Hayes shook his head. "Not yet. Fear is our weapon. Let them think we are one fleet only. Let them believe victory is near, and when they strike, we will show them the truth." Captain Elias stood at Hayes' side, his jaw set. "They expect us to fight in panic," he said, "but we will not panic. We will not scatter. We will not break. We will stand. And when they fall, the galaxy will remember." The first strikes came quickly. Coalition fleets appeared on the borders of human colonies, worlds rich with resources, moons filled with mining stations, outposts clinging to survival. They came like storms. Waves of alien ships blotting out the stars. Their weapons lit the void in fire, but they did not find weak prey. On one mining world, the coalition launched an attack, confident it would fall in hours. Yet when their ships approached, hidden cannons rose from the asteroid belts, human defenses long prepared. Beams of light cut into the invaders, mines detonated in perfect timing, fighters poured out of hidden bays. The aliens fell in confusion. Their first victory turned into a slaughter. On another world, when coalition fleets landed troops on the surface, they expected frightened colonists. Instead, they found militias armed with weapons forged from Earth's new technologies, men and women who fought with a fire in their eyes that no alien had ever seen. Entire battalions of alien soldiers were forced to retreat before civilians who refused to bow. The coalition leaders grew restless, their plans unraveling. "How are they? Ready for us?" Vorath roared, slamming his fist against the table. "Every trap, every defense, it is as if they knew we were coming." Spies whispered the truth. Humanity had been preparing for decades. Every outpost, every colony, every station was armed. To the teeth, waiting for the day the stars turned hostile, and then came the first clash of fleets. At the edge of the Vega system, the coalition launched its grand assault. Hundreds of ships surged forward, their weapons blazing. They expected to crush the small human defenders stationed there. Instead, they met the horizon, Captain Elias at its helm. "Hold formation," Elias ordered, his voice calm, his crew's hands steady. "Let them come." The alien fleets rushed like fire, but the humans did not break. Their ships moved with precision. Their cannons burned through enemy shields. Missiles tore into alien carriers. Fighters danced like blades in the dark. The battle became a storm of fire and steel. For hours it raged, ships burning, wreckage, scattering across the void. But when the smoke cleared, the coalition was forced back, their mighty armada beaten by what they believed was a fraction of Earth's strength. The galaxy trembled again. Messages poured into alien capitals. Reports of defeat, fleets broken, worlds defended. Leaders demanded answers, demanded victories. But none came, and still Earth remained silent. On the bridge of the horizon, Elias stood among his crew, their faces weary, their eyes hollow but unbroken. "They will come again," he said softly, "stronger, more desperate. But remember, they bleed, they fall. They are not gods, they are only afraid." His words gave strength where exhaustion weighed. Admiral Hayes, watching from the command centers on Earth, prepared for the next phase. "They believe we have shown all we can," he whispered. "Soon they will learn the truth. Because in the shipyards of Earth, the 10 hidden fleets were ready. Each was different. Each built for war beyond imagination. One fleet carried stealth ships able to vanish like ghosts. Another carried carriers large enough to swallow moons. Another bristled with rail cannons that the coalition armada gathered for its greatest strike yet. In the empty gulf near the Kevlon Rift, fleets from 5 alien empires assembled in silence, row upon row of warships, thousands upon thousands, carriers so vast they carried entire cities. Dreadnoughts bristling with weapons that could strip a planet's crust in minutes. The stars themselves seemed to vanish behind their numbers. Supreme Admiral Vorath stood tall at the center of the command bridge of the Bloodfang, his eyes blazing with fury. "This time," he growled, "there will be no survivors, no retreat. Humanity will be broken. Earth will be ash." His words thundered across the channels of the coalition fleet. Alien soldiers roared. Commanders shouted their vows of victory, but behind the bravado was fear. Every soldier had seen the recordings. Every commander had studied the Battle of Vega. They had seen how one human fleet tore through their forces with impossible precision. They had watched human ships cut apart armadas that were supposed to be invincible, and though their numbers were overwhelming now, a shadow of doubt haunted them. On Earth, silence ruled. In the hidden council chamber beneath the mountains, the leaders of humanity watched the enemy gather. The map of the stars glowed with red lights marking alien fleets. Admiral Hayes stood at the center, his hands clasped, his voice steady. "They have brought everything," he said, "their pride, their fear, their desperation. It is all here. They believe this battle will end us, but they are wrong." He turned to the commanders beside him. "The time has come. Unleash the fleets." The order spread like fire across the Pacific. The ocean trembled as massive doors opened beneath the waves. Dreadnoughts rose from the deep, their hulls shining with strange alloys, their cannons glowing with energy that made the seas boil. On the far side of the moon, hidden hangars cracked open. Carriers the size of mountains emerged, their decks lined with fighters gleaming under artificial suns. Swarms poured into the void like locusts, waiting for their command. In the asteroid belt, shadows moved. Ships cloaked in black armor broke free from their hiding places. Stealth cruisers shaped like blades slipped silently into the darkness. Even beyond the outer planets far past Pluto, hidden stations lit up, rail cannons longer than cities charged with deadly power, their barrels humming with energy strong. Enough to tear through worlds. And then the galaxy saw it. 10 fleets, each vast, each unique, each built for destruction. From the darkness they emerged, one by one, rising from oceans, crawling out of moons, sliding from the shadows of asteroids, pouring from hidden wormholes. Humanity's storm revealed at last. The first fleet had made the galaxy tremble, but now there were 11. On the flagship horizon, Captain Elias stood at the bridge, his crew silent as the other fleets filled the screens. His heart beat heavy, his voice steady. "Signal to all fleets," he ordered. "Today we show them the truth. Today we show them Earth was never alone." The message was sent, and in that moment, the galaxy changed. In the coalition armada, panic spread. Alien commanders shouted in disbelief, their screens filled with the sight of endless human warships. "This is impossible," one cried. "They cannot have so many." Another screamed. Fleets that had stood proud a moment ago now shivered with fear. Vorath slammed his claws against the table, his roar cutting through the panic. "Do not falter!" he shouted. "We outnumber them still! We crush them here, or we die! Attack!" The void erupted in fire. Alien ships surged forward, their weapons blazing. Beams of energy lit the darkness. Missiles streaked across the stars. The coalition hurled everything they had, but the human fleets did not break. The horizon led the charge, its cannons thundering, its beams tearing through dreadnought shields. Fighters poured from carriers like swarms of fire. Stealth ships slipped. Behind enemy lines, rail cannons fired from the outer stations, their shots punching holes straight through the largest alien vessels. For the first time in galactic history, it was not aliens crushing humans. It was humans crushing the galaxy. On alien worlds, citizens watched in horror as reports came flooding in, screens filled with the sight of alien fleets burning, their proud dreadnoughts shattering under human fire, their carriers split apart. Their fighters torn to ash. The whispers began again, but this time louder. The humans, they have 11 fleets. 11. On the horizon, Elias gave no pause, his voice calm even in the storm. "Press forward," he ordered. "Leave them no ground, no escape. Let them see the storm they feared." The coalition fought desperately, their numbers massive, but their unity weak. Old rivalries broke out. Confusion spread. Fleets stumbled over each other. Commanders argued over tactics. Their discipline shattered, but humanity fought as one. Every ship moved with precision. Every strike coordinated. Every captain trusted the others. The fleets moved like a single body. A predator with 11 claws tearing through its prey. Hours passed. Wreckage filled the stars. The coalition was broken, its ships fleeing in all directions. Vorath screamed orders into the void, but his fleets no longer listened. His empire's pride was shattered. His coalition's power crumbled, and then came the final blow. From the hidden stations beyond Pluto, Earth's rail cannons fired together. Their beams crossing the void in perfect timing. They struck the Bloodfang, the flagship of Vorath, in a blaze of light. The dreadnought split apart, its roar silenced, its remains scattered into nothing. The coalition armada collapsed across the galaxy. Silence followed. The silence of fear, the silence of awe. Alien empires realized the truth. They had united their strength, and still they had fallen. Earth had revealed its storm, and no one could stand against it. On the horizon, Elias stood tall, his eyes fixed on the wreckage, his voice soft. The first fleet made them tremble, the 11 fleets made them bow. But humanity did not celebrate. Admiral Hayes sent a message to every alien world, his voice steady, his words simple. "We did not build these fleets to conquer, we built them so no one could ever conquer us again. Remember this." And though the battle ended, the lesson remained. The galaxy would never forget the day one human fleet made them tremble. Then Earth unleashed 10 more. More. The stars were quiet after the slaughter. The coalition armada was gone, its thousands of ships reduced to drifting wreckage, burning husks and fragments that glittered like ash across the void. Alien distress calls echoed weakly, desperate cries, for help from ships that could no longer fight, no longer flee. But the humans did not chase every survivor. They allowed some to escape, not out of mercy, but out of purpose. Fear was the weapon now. On alien worlds, the news struck like fire. Images of 11 human fleets tearing through the greatest armada in galactic history flooded the networks. Children cried, elders whispered prayers, soldiers shook with disbelief. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt powerless. In the Vorith Dominion, riots spread through cities. Their people shouted at their leaders, demanding why they had provoked Earth, demanding why their fleets were destroyed, demanding why they were sent to die against an unstoppable storm. In the Kelrathi Empire, once proud warriors lowered their heads in shame, their banners of conquest replaced with silence. Their rulers met in secret chambers, voices trembling. "If humans choose to march on us," one lord whispered, "we cannot stop them." And in the Mirren Combine, merchants and traders began to secretly send messages to Earth, offering goods, offering technology, offering allegiance if only humanity would spare them. The galaxy was breaking. On Earth, however, there was no celebration. Admiral Hayes stood in the command chamber, his face carved with steel. "This is not the end," he said. "This is only the beginning. The coalition may be broken, but others will rise. Fear will turn to desperation, and desperation will bring new wars." His word spread through every commander. Every officer, every fleet, Captain Elias aboard the Horizon, carried the same truth to his crew, his voice steady. "We have shown them our storm, but storms do not last forever. They will test us again. They will seek weakness, but we must give them none." And so humanity advanced. The 11 fleets moved into alien space. But they did not burn worlds or enslave people. They did not kill for glory. Instead, they struck only where resistance was strongest, breaking fleets, dismantling bases, and leaving worlds untouched. To the aliens, this was even more terrifying. They expected conquest. They expected chains. But humanity showed restraint. Humanity fought with precision, as if every strike was a warning, as if every battle said the same thing. "We could destroy you, but we choose not to." On the world of Kareth, an alien general prepared his defenses, his army of millions lined the fields. His ships orbited above, ready for war. But when the human fleets arrived, they did not fire. Instead, they sent a single message: "Surrender, or we will erase your defenses in 1 hour." The general laughed, thinking it was a bluff. But when the hour passed, beams of light swept across the skies. Alien ships exploded one by one, ground defenses shattered, and within minutes his proud army was nothing but dust. The humans never set foot on the planet. They simply left, leaving Kareth's people staring at the ruins of their pride. Word of such battles spread quickly. Surrender became common. Fleets lowered their weapons without firing a shot. Worlds opened their gates before the first human ship appeared. The galaxy was bowing, but within the bowing was something else, a whisper of respect. For centuries, the galaxy had called humans fragile, weak, reckless. Now they saw a species that fought with fire and steel, but also with control. A species that unleashed storms, but knew when to stop. Some alien leaders began to speak differently in their chambers. "Perhaps," they said quietly, "it is better to stand with Earth than against it." In the Council of the United Earth Government, leaders debated what to do next. Some called for a halt, fearing humanity's power might turn into arrogance. Others urged for advance, pressing deeper until no empire could resist. Admiral Hayes listened to both sides, his voice calm when he spoke. "We will not become what they fear most," he said. "We will not become tyrants We will not rule by chains, but we will ensure no one dares to chain us again." His words became policy. The fleets advanced only when provoked. They defended more than they conquered. Still, Captain Elias knew the truth. The galaxy's fear was not enough, not yet. He stood at the bridge of the horizon, his eyes scanning the stars. "They think this is the end," he said softly. "But there are still powers waiting, still rulers who believe they can rise again. We must be ready." And he was right. Far beyond the coalition, in the shadowed corners of the galaxy, a new gathering began. Alien races that had not joined the coalition now whispered among themselves. They saw opportunity in the chaos. If Earth and the old empires weakened each other, perhaps they could rise. Perhaps they could claim power. But they did not know. Humanity's storm was not yet finished. In the hidden shipyards, new designs were already under construction, weapons beyond imagination, ships that could fold space itself, carriers that could cloak entire fleets, dreadnoughts powered by suns caged in their cores. The 11 fleets were only the beginning. Humanity was still rising, and as alien leaders plotted, as worlds surrendered, as whispers of both fear and respect spread, one truth echoed louder than all. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once, and it had paid the price. It would never underestimate them again. On the horizon, Captain Elias stood before his crew, his words simple. The first fleet made them tremble. The storm made them bow. But we are not finished. Not yet. The galaxy has not seen all of what Earth can do. And in the silence of the stars, the galaxy held its breath. The galaxy was quiet, but it was not peace. After the destruction of the coalition, after the surrender of countless fleets and worlds, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Every empire watched humanity, waiting to see what they would do, waiting to see if the storm would spread to every corner of the void. In the great cities of the Kelrathi Empire, streets once filled with banners of conquest now carried banners of silence. Their soldiers no longer marched with pride. They marched with fear. Their people asked the same question. Will the humans come here next? In the Vorith Dominion, old rulers trembled on their thrones. Their advisors spoke in whispers. If Earth decides to move against us, nothing will remain. We must send envoys. We must beg for peace. Even the proud Mirren Combine, once arrogant, traders who believed they controlled the galaxy's wealth, now sent secret offers of alliance, sending treasures, rare minerals, even entire planets in exchange for safety. But Earth did not answer right away. The 11 fleets hung silent in space, scattered across the galaxy, each watching, each waiting. Their presence alone enough to crush resistance, but they did not advance without reason. They did not burn worlds without provocation. This silence unnerved the galaxy more than fire ever could. On the horizon, Captain Elias stood at the command deck. His officers around him, their faces lit by the glow of star maps, the galaxy stretched before them, but his expression was calm, steady. "They expect us to conquer," he said quietly. "They believe we will become the tyrants they always feared, but we are not here to conquer. We are here to end the cycle." His voice spread across the fleet, firm and unshaken. Admiral Hayes echoed the same truth in the council chamber on Earth, his hands pressed against the cold table, his voice cutting through arguments of leaders. "If we turn into conquerors, if we make slaves of the galaxy, then we prove them right. We prove humanity is only another predator. We cannot allow that." The council fell silent, then nodded. Earth's course was set. But still, the galaxy tested them. In the shadows of the outer rim, remnants of the coalition gathered, broken admirals who refused to surrender. They rallied small fleets, desperate to strike at human patrols, desperate to show the galaxy humanity could bleed, and so they attacked. Ambushing convoys, raiding colonies, trying to ignite new wars, but they did not succeed. For every ambush, a human fleet arrived with precision. For every raid, human ships cut through them like blades. For every desperate strike, the storm replied, and one by one, the remnants vanished. On the alien world of Tavares, the last stronghold of resistance stood. Fleets gathered, armies marched, their leaders shouted of vengeance. But when the horizon appeared in their skies, when its shadow fell across their cities, the war ended without a shot. Their leaders fell to their knees, begging for mercy. And still, humanity spared them. Word spread like wildfire. Humans fought with fire but ruled with restraint, their power unmatched, but their will different from every conqueror before them. Alien citizens began to see humans not just as demons of war, but as something greater. Some called them guardians, others called them the balance. Even those who hated them spoke of them with respect. In one marketplace on a distant world, a child whispered to her mother, "Will the humans hurt us?" The mother shook her head. "No, child. The humans hurt only those who try to hurt them." In the council chamber of the galaxy's remaining leaders, a decision was made. They invited humanity to take a seat among them, to lead the way forward. Not through chains, but through strength. When Captain Elias entered that chamber, the aliens bowed, not out of fear alone, but out of respect. The silence was heavy as he spoke. "We did not come here to rule you," he said, his voice carrying through the vast hall. "We came here to survive, to ensure Earth would never again be threatened, but survival does not mean domination. Survival means balance, and balance means peace." The words stunned them. For centuries, the galaxy had known only cycles of war and conquest, empires rising and falling, chains exchanged from one ruler to another. But humanity spoke differently. Humanity carried storms, but offered calm. In that moment, something changed. The Kelrathi, once proud and ruthless, lowered their banners of conquest. The Vorith began to disarm their fleets. The Mirren Combine opened. Trade with Earth not through fear, but through trust. Slowly, painfully, the galaxy bent not to chains, but to respect. And yet, the lesson remained. Human fleets patrolled the stars, their shadows reminders of the storm that had broken the coalition. No alien forgot the day one human fleet made them tremble, and 10 more rose behind it. But when they spoke of humans now, it was not with mockery. It was not with arrogance. It was with a tone the galaxy had never given to any species before. Reverence. On the horizon, Captain Elias stood once more at the viewport, the stars stretching before him, his voice quiet. "The galaxy will always test us, but they know. Now Earth does not break, Earth does not bow, Earth endures." Admiral Hayes, back on Earth, spoke the same truth in his final address to the Council. "We showed them fear, then we showed them restraint, and now we show them who we truly are. Not tyrants, not prey, but something greater. Humanity united." And so the saga closed. The galaxy would never again see Earth as fragile, never again call humanity weak, never again dismiss the storm that slept behind their quiet world, because when the galaxy remembered Earth, they remembered one fleet that made them tremble, and 10 more that changed history forever.